for our children. Pray for what's being taught, not only in public school, but also in college these days. I know if you don't have your mind made up what you believe about the Lord, about the Bible, about creation, all those things you do in college, that can be challenged, amen? And it's a sad thing that is challenged, but it is. And we've had a lot of young people come back and with views totally different than Scripture after they've been away to school. So better nail down what you believe about the Word of God before you get on to teaching people that sway you. All right? I just wanted to share with you this morning, Christians need to make a difference. And what that means that we need to speak up more, we need to be more involved in the things of our world and influence more as we can. But we need to make a difference because the world that's coming up for our children and grandchildren don't look too good. I'm talking about America, amen? The world itself is a mess, but I think America is going down a bad place. And I think we can make a difference. But that's going to have to start on a spiritual plane. Amen? And I will share with you some things today about what we need to do to make a difference. And that starts in each and every one of our homes. It starts individually in our own lives. We can't just be believers who are silent just within our homes and just within our little circles. We need to influence, like Jesus said, the salt and light and leaven does in the world today. If you have your Bibles, I want to turn to Matthew chapter 5, the Sermon on the Mount. Not be reaching and preaching all this, but Jesus was very clear about the influence of his people in society. I really think years ago, and I'm about 200 years ago when this nation was founded, we did make an influence. We did have an influence. We did have an impact. And for whatever reason, that is not true. We need to bring that back. We need to get that back involved. What Jesus said, Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, he didn't say that you might be salt or you could be salt. He says you are the salt of the earth. You're the salt of the earth. If salt loses its ability to work its saltiness, then it's used for nothing more than to be thrown out on the road and used for patching potholes. It's no longer for good anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. That's what they did with salt that lost its savoriness. They used it to patch potholes. We know about potholes. We're the world's famous state, the Union for potholes. I mean, some of them could swallow a car, I think, at some point. But that's what they used in the first century. Verse 14, not you could be or might be the light of the world. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill at night in that day and time when they had lamps glowing, wide open, a lot of trees. You can see that city for a long way off. It cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and then put it under a bushel or some kind of basket because lamps are hard to light. Once you got it lit, if you wanted to darken that light, just put a basket over it and you can go to sleep at night. It's very difficult because they didn't have big lighters like we do today. It's very difficult to get a flame going. Instead, they put it on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light, what does that mean? What do you believe about Jesus Christ? What do you believe about the Bible? What is your moral standards? What are your convictions about God and about the church and what the purpose of the church is? That's light. Jesus is light in and through us, but our belief about those things are very strong and should be known, especially by the people that live around you, the people that know you, the people that work with you. Nobody where you work should have to guess what you believe.
Right.
All right? I mean, everybody ought to understand you belong to Christ. You're not going to curse. You're not going to go be doing things that show that you're not a Christian. Let your light so be shown before men that everyone in the house may see. Let your light shine before people. They may see the good things that you do because of the light in you and praise your Father in heaven. Amen? All right, in our day and time, people want to hide their light. And I think that's kind of a result of where we are politically and all that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of stuff that's going on, and that's my fault. But I get angry at what I see going on and what people are saying, and I'm burdened by what I see. I'll just be honest with you. If those two people running for president are the best we got, really? I mean, I'm concerned. And I will vote, I can tell you. But I will vote for the person that is most like my conservative views, if that could be. But I will vote.
Amen.
If you don't go vote, you're going to make sure that somebody you don't like will be president.
Amen.
For sure. And I said something the other day, and I'm afraid to even say it now because of how it can be construed. But if we're salt and we're light, and we're supposed to be Christ-like, and we're supposed to represent the Word of God to the world today, how in the world can we vote to kill babies and to say those babies don't have a right, and all the things that different people promote today that are not scriptural and go against the Word of God? I have a hard time with that. You know, I have a very hard time supporting anybody that's pro-abortion and all that kind of thing, and I'm just going to leave that where it is. Amen? All right?
Amen.
We need to make a difference, and we're not making a difference, and we need to do a better job of making a difference. So how do we make a difference? Teenagers, young people. I think it starts down in grade school and goes all the way through high school and into college. You can make a difference. Turn in your Bibles to Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. You know, y'all, some of y'all could quote this. Believers, to start making a difference, number one, you have to be transformed for Christ. I didn't say believe in Christ. I didn't say belong to a denomination that promotes Christ. I say that you need to be personally transformed by Jesus Christ yourself.
Amen.
I know a lot of people believe about Christ. They talk about it. They have good intentions. But when it comes to actually doing something that Jesus Christ tells us we should or should do, we don't do it because we're afraid of what people might say. I love this passage, and it's very clear. Paul says, I encourage you, I urge you, brethren, in view of God's mercy, to offer yourself as a living sacrifice. Offer yourself as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, which is your spiritual worship. Look at verse 2. There's a negative command and a positive command. The negative command is quit allowing yourself to be poured into a mold. M-O-L-D. That's not stuff that grows on the ground, you know, during wet seasons. A mold is like a plaster of Paris form that you pour that substance in, and it occupies every little nook and cranny of that mold, and it comes out looking exactly like what you designed it to be. That's what the world's trying to do. Don't y'all see that on TV? We're trying to be poured into a mold. Everybody wants us to think a certain way that they think is right. This is right.
That's right.
This is the truth. We need to be pouring people in the mold of Christ-likeness. An example of what God has said from the very beginning. Well, I wish we could walk with Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
But I guarantee you he'd be fired. He'd be saying some things today that folks would like to hear, and he wouldn't care what they thought. He wouldn't be worried about influencing friends and all that kind of thing. Stop conforming. Stop being poured in the mold of this world, but rather be what? Metamorphoso. Metamorphoso is the verb form of it. Change the form of. You need to be changed in the form of. That's a command, not an option. Jesus will change your life. Beginning in the very depths of your spirit and coming out in every aspect of your life. That may take a while. Some of it took a while for some of that language to wear off from you. Some of those mindsets and some of those things that you believed it did. But he will change you. To change the form of. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you're able to test and prove that which is God's will, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. Y'all, that's why religion's not working. I ain't got anything against religion other than it can't transform you. Can't change you. It can make you a better person. But it cannot change you deep within your spirit where you're radically born again by the Spirit of God and changed, really changed. Religion can help you be a better person, can cause you to go through the motions, and you can think in a better way. But the Spirit of God will change you, friend, and you will radically change. Amen? You radically change. That's what it's going to take all across America for born-again Christians to demonstrate that. And I point you to John 3. I asked a person the other day that was steeped in religion. I says, in your church, do y'all preach John 3:3? He said, I don't even know what that is. I said, that's when Jesus said to Nicodemus, a very religious man, you must be born again by the Spirit of God. You must, by divine necessity, be born from above by the Spirit of God and change to be saved. He said, no, we don't preach that. I said, well, okay, the preacher, start preaching it. Because the only way to really change is to be radically changed by the Spirit of God. Now, my question to you, are you spiritually born again? Amen. I didn't say were you acclimated into some teachings about Christ. Are you radically born again? Make a difference in your life. You're not the same. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, old things passed away, behold, all things are new. Can you point to some new things in your life since you become a born-again Christian? Some of that starts with your political ideas. Some of that starts with your ideas about how things ought to be in school and other places. All that starts a difference in your life as you think about what truth is. And I encourage you, when I hear things on television that are not scriptural, not right, I get upset. Now, I don't holler at the TV. I know some of you may do that. I just shake my head and says, how did we get so far removed from truth and godliness? But we allow that. Amen? Oh, true believers spiritually discern the times that we live in. You want to be liberal? I want to be liberal loving other people. I want to be liberal giving as much as I can to the kingdom of God. That's the only way I'm going to be liberal. I want to be liberal in sharing my faith in Lord Jesus with those who listen. That's the only way I want to be liberal. I'm not slapping anybody for whatever you think liberal is, but I think Jesus meant that there's any liberality in anything, it ought to be in the freedom of the Spirit. Change people's lives and make a difference. Not to do anything you want to do. Because you're not really free to do anything you want to do. To be honest with you. Amen? There's always a limit on what your freedom will be able to do. And I think we're seeing more and more of the lack of that today. You want to be liberated, be filled with the Spirit. The great liberator, the Spirit of God. Amen? That's the kind of liberation we need. You ever thought about what Jesus saved us to do? Now, this is the most basic sermon you'll ever hear me preach. What did Jesus save you to do? He didn't just save you to miss hell, did he? I've heard people say that. Well, I just don't want to go to hell. Well, that's a good thought, but that's not what Jesus saved you for. There's a lot more involved in that than just for you to miss hell. By the way, I was saying that to somebody the other day, and I'll tell you this. Anybody in hell that came back to speak to us would be a different person. Amen. Even though they weren't when they went there, they are a different person. They not only believe that God's real, they also know Jesus is the Christ, Son of the God. And they also know a lot of things that you and I would be worthy to listen to. But none of us would listen because we were bent on doing what we will do, regardless of what somebody say. What did Jesus save us for? Right there, this is the simplest sermon you'll ever hear. Jesus saved us to share Him with other people. Church is not the end of what we're experiencing. Matthew 28:19 and 20, Jesus said what? Go ye into all the world and make Baptists out of everybody. I can tell you, making a Baptist ain't going to do anybody any good. Go ye therefore, make disciples How do you make a disciple? Well, first you got to win them to faith in Jesus Christ. Then you got to work with them to grow and be established and understand what that means, just as we're doing with these young people. It's not easy to make a disciple. Now, Islam is doing a good job of making disciples. Y'all notice that? Why are they so dedicated? I'm just amazed at that they could be so brainwashed that they could do all these horrible things. And it amazes me that their wives would put up with how they're treated, yet in honor of their God. Why can't we, as Christians, make disciples in such a way that would make a difference? Evangelism is every believer's responsibility. You know, Jesus said, wherever you go, whatever you do, say a word for him. Let people know that you belong to him. Now, what Baptists don't like to hear about is giving money. You give a tithe of your income. Jesus saved you so that you're not self-centered, but that you give. You give the gospel away. You give opportunities to help other people and do things. The word tithe in the New Testament is the Greek word dekate, meaning a tenth part of. If you have a problem with tithing, then you've got a problem with Jesus. All right? With worldly things. You've got a problem settling issues. I find that the more money somebody makes, the more problem they have with tithing. Now, I heard about the story of a young man that was making maybe $10,000 a year when he got saved and he started tithing his income. The Lord blessed him. He started making $50,000, then he started making $100,000. But his tithing didn't increase with his increase in income. And he went and talked to his pastor about it, and the pastor said, well, you know what? Why don't we pray that the Lord puts you back at $2,000? Whether you were tithing and paying. That's how we are as humans. When we start making a lot of money, we got a problem with giving like we should. Now, somebody asked me one day, and I don't like to get into who said what, but the reason tithing is not emphasized in the New Testament is because we've been freed from the law and been filled with the Holy Spirit to give more than just 10%. I'm serious. In the Old Testament, it was a tenth part of not only your income, but your things that you grow, and they brought to the synagogue and other things regularly that they were using. When the Holy Spirit came upon the church, there's no longer a set amount. The Lord frees you to give as your heart is free. Now, I'll just be honest with you. I mean, this summer was rough on our church. A lot of them were out work, and then we maybe had lower incomes and those kind of things. And I'm not sure how we got through this summer. And I'm not preaching nobody's doing their job, but I'm just saying we're in a bad economic time, and most of the time, when our incomes are crushed, church giving is the first thing to go. But we think we can do without that. Well, I would think, that ought to be something you ought to consider, that the Lord doesn't want you to slack off on or whatever. The love of money, the disobedience to God, desire to keep it to yourself, all those are indications that you're disobedient to God. Amen. And I just want to encourage you to keep doing it. 1 Corinthians 16, Paul reminded the church in Corinth that when they came, they were to bring a gift substance with what the Lord had showed them to give and wanted them to give. So tithing is present in the New Testament. It's in a lot more places in 1 Corinthians. Amen. You got an argument with that? There may be more going on in your life and heart about that subject than needs to be. Number 3, what did Jesus save you for? Not only to make disciples and to support your church, but to grow spiritually. Amen. Y'all need to know what that means. The Bible says we start out as a babe. Just like in our physical life, we start out as a baby. Nobody comes to this world fully grown. We come to Christ as a babe. But we don't stay there. The Lord wants us to grow spiritually. Ephesians, you can write this down, Ephesians chapter 4, as newborn babes, desire ye the sincere milk of the word that you may what? Grow. The sincere milk of the word that you may grow thereby. Spiritual growth is not an option in Christian. Now, if all you do is come to preaching, you'll grow a little bit. But if you get involved in a Bible study class where you are engaged and you talk about it and you feast on it and you work on it, and then discipleship, all those things help you grow. Most of us only obtain 10% of what we hear. So the church is the only time that you get any kind of, you get maybe 10%. That's not much. It's not much. Let me encourage you, spiritual growth is something that you individually have to desire and do with the Lord. Now, my wife's sitting right here with this camera. I can't make her grow spiritually, nor her to me. Now, we can help each other, but I can't do it for her. Amen? Amen. So with your children or with your spouse, it's an individual thing. You got to want to do that. And so I pray that you will learn that Jesus saved you so that you will grow to be Christ-like in your spiritual growth and character development. And lastly, number 4, this is just this one. We mentioned Hebrews 10:25 last week. I don't keep records of when you come to church. Some churches do, by the way. They're very nitpicky about that. I just think Hebrews 10:25, forsaking the assembling of ourselves together. If there's any possible way that you ought to be with other believers and worship, even on vacation. I know people laugh at us sometimes when we go vacation, we go to church. I had a really different experience last year when I went to a First Baptist church. It wasn't like the one I was used to. But I was there. Why? Even on vacation, I don't vacate from God. I don't vacate from worship. I say can't. But y'all, we got folks in our church that claim to be born-again Christians that come maybe once or twice every 6 months. How can you grow spiritually if you're not worship with God's people? I think that ought to be something you desire to do. Just you desire to worship and desire to fellowship and desire to participate. That's not what Jesus saved you for. If you have problems with worship, you ain't going to like it. Amen? You ain't going to like it. Heaven's praising. Heaven's adoring the Lord Jesus Christ. Y'all going to have to beat me to it, but I'm telling you, if we get there at the same time, I got Jesus. I'm going to spend time with him, brother. You may barge in on that time, but I want to tell the Lord, I greatly appreciate all that you're doing. It's going to take eternity for me to tell you. I ain't never got over this thing. Seriously. But I know people got saved, don't care if they go to church, don't care if they grow, don't have any evidence at all that there's been a change in their life. Really? Oh, let me tell you, Jesus does make a difference, and we need to make a difference. Amen. I don't know what's going to happen in America. But if Christians don't wake up and start making a difference, you'll see it go down the toilet. Big time. It will be worse than any communist nation, where it's against the law to be a Christian. Is that what you want to see happen in your country? I don't think so. We can make a difference. How do we make a difference? 4 things I want to share with you, and I'm going to stop. Determine that you're going to live every day for Christ, and that you're not going to be ashamed to speak or act for Him. What is a shame to you? Well, anything that we're ashamed of, we don't promote or we don't embrace, we shun. I couldn't say some things about my family life growing up. You know, I will. I will go ahead and tell you that. There was times in my family I was ashamed of my family. And my mother was a big lady. I just say that. And when she'd come to school, my friends in my class would make fun of her because she was a big lady. You know what that does to a child? See? I mean, I want to pop them in the mouth. And that's my mom. They won't even make fun. I was ashamed. I didn't want her to come to school because of how a kid. Kids are cruel, ain't they? But don't be ashamed of Jesus. I know at school, people make fun of Jesus. People make fun of Christians. Make fun of things, and we sit there and go, oh, I want nobody knows I'm a Christian. I don't want them to make fun of me. Hey, he died on the cross for me, naked, on the cross. He was unashamed of me on the cross. I should not be any way ashamed of him in any way, shape, or form. Romans 1:16, I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is power of God unto salvation to everyone who believes, Jew first and the Greek also. I am not ashamed of the gospel. Don't be ashamed. Speak out. Number 2, decide who's going to be Lord and Master of your life. Not just today, every day. Who's Lord and Master of your life? You can't live for Jesus on Sunday and then do whatever you want to do Monday through Saturday. You're either a Christian every day or you're not a Christian any day.
Amen.
Ephesians 4:1 says, I, Paul, a prisoner of the Lord, entreat and beg and insist that you walk and live in a manner worthy of your calling by which you've been called. You've been called. What does that mean? Savior called you to follow him. Decide who is Lord and Master of your life. I look at America today, I say everything but Jesus, who's Lord and Master of people's lives. There's all kinds of things that they're searching for. Number 3, live with the consciousness that others are watching you. And everything you do supports or nullifies your claim to be a Christian. What does that mean? Well, how do you act at work? How do you act at school, young people? When you get to the college campus, it's going to be a challenge whether you're going to live for Christ or not. Amen. And you're going to be criticized and ridiculed, even in class. Even in class, if you make a stand for Christ, you're going to be ridiculed. I guarantee you. So why? Why do people do that? They love to do that. They love to ridicule people who stand for something. And you stand for something because you stand for Christ. Matthew 18, verse 7, talks about stumbling blocks, which is the word scandalizo in Greek. A scandal is a cause of stumbling whereby someone who's weak in faith falls away due to our insistence on doing as we please. What does that mean? I can't do anything I want to do, number one, and not be responsible for the Lord for that, but other Christians are watching. Amen? That's what this drinking thing was that you saw in the Baptist message. And some pastor got up and spoke that he loved to drink a beer every now and then. I know some of y'all do that and whatever, but the point of that is example.
Amen.
The example that you have. And I ain't going to say a lot about that because the Lord has to convict you. I know Christians that drink wine and Christians that drink these wine coolers, and that's, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe not. If somebody's looking at you, watching you and seeing you do that, and they're weak in the faith, you call them a stumble. Jesus said, that's serious business.
Amen.
You know, so I know Christians say, well, I just assume live in a vacuum. I can't do anything. Well, there are a lot of things we can do to live and enjoy ourselves without having to cause somebody else a stumble because of our freedom. I know you don't like to hear that, but live with the consciousness that other people are watching.
Amen.
They're watching you. They're watching you how you talk to other people. They're watching how you treat people of other races and sex and other things. They're watching. They're listening to you. So be careful. Number 4, Recognize that only Christ in you, the hope of glory, can enable you to live with consistent life worthy of you. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Paul says in Romans 14, no one should live to himself. No one should live unto himself, but all of us have been saved and set apart for the Lord to live in a righteous way. I'm going to read that verbatim from the scripture so that you can see that. Chapter 14, verse 7. No one lives to himself, none of us dies to himself. If we live for the Lord. If we die for the Lord. So whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. This reason Christ died and was resurrected so that he might be Lord of both living and dead. So why do you judge your brother? Why do you look down upon your brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of Christ. That ought to humble us. So do everything you can to make it such a way that people see Christ in you. Number one, are you born again by the Spirit of God? Do you know Jesus Christ as your Savior? You don't? You ought not be here for a few seconds. We will lead you to faith in Christ. Amen. I think that's very important. We do that every day on the job, wherever. We do it certainly in church. If you're a Christian already, you commit yourself to being Christ-like example and making a difference. We can make a difference. Christians can make a difference, I think, even in this political world that's going on. But you have to be seen. But we can make a difference. Let's pray together. Father, help us as born-again Christians in this room right now. We may not can change America, but we can change this part of our life. We can make a difference right here where we live, where we work, where we go to school, places that we go, we can make a difference where we are in our very homes and communities. God, I hope that people that live around us see that we're born-again Christians and know that we're committed to Christ. Whether just where are them people going every Sunday they drive away. I pray that they know who we believe and what we believe, and we'll share with them. God, I pray that this country that was established on godly Christian principles and the Word of God was uplifted at one time will come back to that if that's possible. But we got to make a difference, and we can. God, help us just don't talk about it. Let's do it. If there's anybody in this room that's never been truly born again by the Spirit of God, let them come right now. Accept Christ. If a Christian's here not living for you, and you've convicted them in this sermon to make it right with you right now, let them come as we sing. If a person wants to come and join by letter or statement or just come and be a part of this fellowship, come. We'd love to have you right now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.